It was time to move the rams again. So they were on the old paddock a little bit too long. I think. I don't know. From what I've heard, sometimes it's better if they are longer, depending on how the ground is and how the grass is growing and what kind of grasses, I guess. And all these circumstances that is hard to predict. It feels like it's really hard to know. I learned that one rule you can follow if you don't know anything is no more than 3 days on the same place and not back on that same place in 30 days. These rams have definitely been more than 3 days on the same space. We need to plan this grazing better and have better habits and some kind of routine to make this work. But I'm really happy that they have been almost across all the lands that we care for. So there is just one patch up there left here, and then we have some other places that we can have them if the winter doesn't arrive very soon. Okay, so it was a couple of days ago now. I had to stop talking to you and I had some appointments that I needed to do. So these rams have now been in this paddock for 3 days or so. So according to the not so strict rule of no more than 3 days in the same paddock, I should move them. There is also another aspect right now is that when the grass is starting to prepare for winter, it is also more sensitive. So if I would have planned this better, I would have already been here with these rams and grazed this area before the grass started to prepare for winter. And one of the hard parts with that is how do you know when the grass really is starting to prepare for winter? Logically it would be sometime now, I guess. But I think I will wait a couple of more days before we move them again. Maybe 2 days more. This is the hard part with this. You never know what is right before you have tried and see how the ground and the grass is behaving. Har du för Tova här? The scent of sheep fur is not your burps. I really like the scent of sheep fur. It's very nice. We got 3 pieces of this flexi net and they are 50 meters each. I would really like to have more of them so I can build 2 or more paddocks at the same time. And then when we have to move the rams, we can just open up and let them into the new one. And open up and maybe let them into a third one. And then when you find time, you can set up, change the 2 that are empty to new places. As it is now, you have seen how we do with the wired fence. Just bunch them up into a smaller fenced in place and then move them inside the wire fence. And that's a solution that works for us, but it's more work every time you're gonna move them. So that is one reason that we are not moving them as often as we should, maybe, for the benefit of the vitality of the ground. So till next spring we are going to fence in the whole field on the outside with some more permanent fencing, and then we can use the nets to just divide it up. That will be easier with the management of the electricity to the fence, and we don't have to move the electricity every time we move the fence as well. We can just turn off the electricity and hook the flexi nets on the permanent fencing. So that, in my mind, that is going to be a lot easier. We'll see. We need to build a permanent fencing in the forest around the field, so it's not in the way when we take the grass here for winter feed. Another important thing to think about when trying to vitalize the grounds is how many animals and how large are the paddocks. That is also something that makes the 3 days in one paddock and not grazing again there until 30 days have passed is very vague. It's not a rule set in stone. So there is lots of factors that weigh in. What is the best? I have no idea. But that is also the hard part with this regenerative style, is that there is no one best practice. You have to observe the land and observe your animals and what kind of impact, and try different things. What works here does not work, for example, in California. There is this thing that they call the brittleness scale. Here the land is very, very unbrittle or non-brittle, and in California and southwards in the world it's more brittle, and you have to be very careful to not overgraze. But here you can more or less do whatever you want and it will grow anyway. But here we gotta think on how it will best grow. And also, how can we manage the land without having to plow it and turn the earth and kill everything and start from scratch? That is the standard way of doing it here now. Every 4th or, I don't know, 5th year. I don't know anything about conventional farming, so but from what I understand, that is how they do it here. They graze a field for 4 years and then they turn it and kill everything and plant some new seeds. And so that's leading to the topic of what is wrong with plowing the ground. I guess we will take that in another episode. couple of weeks have passed since I was talking to you on the fields up in the village. And we have today moved the rams to our place, and they have now inherited the first pig shelter we had. Or it was first a shelter for the rams as well the year before, but then the pigs was here for a while before summer came, and now these 3 ram lambs and the chief is staying here, and we are going to move the big ram to the ladies sometime soon. So we hope we can keep them here and that they will not escape to the ladies just yet. The ladies are on the other side of the hill. It has been raining and it has been cold on and off, and we had some more snow, and the snow has almost rained away, but now it has been cold for a couple of days and the ice is starting to form on the lakes. It's a little bit past 2 o'clock and the sun has just gone down. Right now the sun doesn't even come above the treetops here, so we can see the sun between the trees, but it's nice, but it's not really warming. I guess any day now lots of snow will come. Or not. Hard to predict. The other rams are now butchered. They were a little bit too small, but it was good meat. We needed some food and we don't have winter feed for them all. As I said, hopefully the feed will be enough for all these. Even so, the butchering went well, and now we have a whole pot of bones simmering here. We're starting to get more bone broth than we eat now, but I have a hard time just throwing the bones away. So all the bones of 5 small lambs barely fit in this 30-liter pot. It is supposed to simmer, but it's hard to adjust the temperature with this stove and the fire. So I can put it aside, but then when the wood burns out and before I put in more wood, it stops simmering altogether and I have to move it. So it is what it is. It becomes good bone broth anyway. Mm-hmm. Totta oli det. Det är ingen vits. Tonight we are making a dish called skav. So you take any piece of frozen boneless meat. This is from the lambs that we just butchered, and this is the front leg, or how to say, the front shoulder. I don't know what this piece is called in English, but bog in Swedish. And the dish is called skav, and that is Swedish for chafe or shave. Not really shave, but I guess the word comes from when you chafe pieces of a frozen piece of meat, and you get some really thin, nice pieces that you can fry and then have in a stew. So this is frozen, and now I'm gonna chafe some pieces from it. And you can do this with any piece of meat, but preferably you do it with meat that is more chewy or not as nice. I guess you wouldn't do this with the finest piece of roast beef or something like that. You can, but because it's really nice. You can start doing this when it's completely frozen, but it's easier if you thaw it for a little bit. But if you thaw it for too much, then it's impossible to get these nice shavings. So this dish is very simple. Now that you got these nice shavings, depending on how you succeeded to make them, you got some thicker ones and some smaller, thinner ones. The thin ones are best. Depending on how much meat you have, you fry some of it. If you try to fry everything at the same time, it just will cook, so and not get fried. So you fry some of it in butter or lard, and then put everything in a pot and pour some cream on top of it, and then let it simmer for a while, and then just white pepper and salt, maybe onion. You can fry the onion and put it in the pot as well. And if you got some bone broth, of course you're gonna add that as well. This is one of my favorite dishes. Very simple and very nice, and you enjoy this with some lingonberries and maybe mashed potatoes if you eat potatoes.
Hoho. Vad säger fasanen då? Det kan inte mamma säga. Haren. Ekorre. Ja. Just så. Och björnen. Och igelkotten. Ska vi bläddra? Ja. Och räven. Och en kronhjort, va? Nej. Vitsvanshjort. Mamma kan inga hjortar. Ja. Och vad kommer här då? Massa små djur. This dish is traditionally made with wild game, like moose or deer, but you can use just any meat. If you want to make this dish a little bit more complicated than salt, white pepper and onions, you can also add chanterelles and juniper berries, and that goes very well in this dish also. You can crush the juniper berries with a mortar. We don't have any homemade cream, so we just use bought one. This is how we enjoy this dish, since we don't eat potatoes that often. We also don't make lingonberry jam, so instead we put lingonberries in water, and it works really good and keeps for years. So that's a really good tip if you don't want that sugary yam. Just put them in water and have them dark and cold. I don't think it works with any other berry than the lingonberry. It's very interesting that it works. After some years they lose their color, but they taste the same, so try it.
Well, that was one of our favorite dishes, I would say.
Yeah, totally.
Very easy to make, and you don't have to plan it beforehand that much, because you can take the frozen piece and
Very
cut it up.
practical. And if you are like us, late every day with deciding what to eat, then it's good.
Sheep is very much easier to keep than pigs, I would say.
Yeah.
And the meat is very good as well, so
Easier to butcher.
the whole process with sheep is easier than pigs. But I would say the hardest part with pigs is to know what to feed them.
and from a lot of comments, and we have gotten links and
to videos.
Yeah. So
we learned that the scalding water was too hot.
so we failed with that part.
Yeah, we cooked it more or less.
Yeah.
Cooked the hair stuck to the pig.
So now we know
Yeah.
if there is going to be a next time.
So between 60 and 65 degrees Celsius seems to be the optimal temperature on scalding water. And I will put some links down in the description to one of the best videos that we got sent by a viewer. And I will also put a link to a very nice Slovenian community butchering video that some viewer sent to us. I thought that was really nice. Like the whole village was
Coming together
and butchering some pigs and made some sausages and drank some vodka, I guess. So as usual, we want to thank all the patrons that makes these videos possible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
2 videos ago we talked about our car that broke down and wasn't fixable, and after much searching we finally found a car that was sort of with all the specs that we needed.
And for a very cheap price.
Yeah. So it's a Ford Explorer from 1999. So it has its faults, but hopefully it will last for some years.
Yeah, it's a really expensive car to drive, but since we are working from home and you are on maternity leave, we are not driving that much.
No.
So it's okay for us, I guess. It was very cheap for us to buy. So
Yeah. And it was
4-wheel drive and
yeah. And it had
passed the
yearly checkup, so we don't need to do another checkup until like 1 year and 3 months or something.
Yeah.
So we know we have a car for at least 1 year and 3 months.
It has some flaws that we need to try to fix, but that's not an interest of mine. I really like to tinker with things and fixing things, but cars I have not have any interest in.
No.
But maybe I should.
They should just work. Is my opinion.
I guess I could have interest in them, but I have so many other interests as well, so there is no time for 111th interest as well.
No. At least we had no trouble with driving 4 of our Rams at the same time in the back of the car.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. So I guess this is it for this episode.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yay! Sleepy time! Ja, försiktigt Ivar. Ja, försiktigt. Oj, oj. No. Hä? Papaya försiktigt. No. Ivar. Åh. Sket du mig?